In this video, we're going to talk about the most important maintenance steps for the Bambu A1 that you must do to keep your printer working great. Spoiler alert, it consists of all these parts that I got in the A1 maintenance kit. My name is Jim, and this is The Edge of Tech. Before we get started, this video here is all about the Bambu Lab A1. If you're here looking for the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon, X1, P1S, P1P maintenance video, that is not this one. You can find that one right here. But today we're only talking about the A1. Also in this video, you're gonna see the Bambu Lab maintenance kit for the A1. I did purchase it myself. They did not send it to me. And I just wanted to show you all how I install this per the instructions that they have and run through the maintenance of everything. You'll be able to find the kit and the kit for all the printers in the link in the description below. So click that link if you're looking for a good discounted way to do maintenance on your Bambu Lab printer. Now let's do it. The A1 maintenance kit includes 4 meters of brand new PTFE tubing, 3 silicone socks, a purge wiper, 3 heat bed nozzle wipers, 3 filament cutters, 3 scraper blades, 2 lubricating grease tubes, and 2 lubricating oil tubes. All of that comes in the maintenance kit. That's actually a ton of stuff that you get for a pretty good price. And a lot of this stuff that comes with multiples, you're gonna be able to do 3 times because it comes with 3 pieces. So that's a really good value. Before we get started, let's actually remove the Bowden tubes from the hot end of the machine. If you have an AMS light like this one, there'll be 4. If you don't have the AMS, there'll be just 1. To do that, all you have to do is press down on the little black Bowden coupler for each of the tubes and then pull up on the tube to take it out. It's also a good idea to detach the power wire here for the hot end just to make sure that is loose, because we're actually going to remove the AMS light to the side while we're working on this machine until we come back to the Bowden tubes. I'm just going to press down on each of the couplers. We're going to pull the tubes out, and then we're going to move on to the first step. I want to start by blowing everything off with a can of air. You can skip this part if you want, but I'm going to give this thing a good dusting because it's been a while. So I'm just going to start, just kind of blow everything off. Maybe your rails, blow them off. Before you get your fans, make sure there's nothing stuck in them. In this case, we're good to go. I'm just going to kind of blowing everything out gently. And then I'm going to pull off the front cover here and give this thing a good shot through here. And that just kind of gets all the dust and stuff out of our way. You don't have to do this part, but it's something that I like to do. While we have the cover off, let's go ahead and do some maintenance on our hot end. First, you can pull the little round wheel off just by pulling it back. Then what we want to do is take these 2 bolts off which hold this cover on here. So we're going to take these 2 screws out here. And what this is going to do is give us access behind the upper hot end area. We're going to change out our filament cutter while we're in here and do a few other things. But it's very important that we get these 2 little screws or bolts, whatever you want to call them, out. So once they're out, this just pulls out like that, and we'll set that down on the bed. Now this is exposed here. Next we want to take out this one right here. This is going to hold our filament cutter. So we're just going to jump in there and unscrew the screw here. So once we get that screw out, your filament arm will just kind of fall like this. This is your cutter back in here, if you can kind of see that. I'm going to grab my canned air and just blow out my extruder assembly while we have it open, just to make sure I got all of that filament dust and whatever else is in there out. Not a bad idea because we already have it open. Now we want to take and pull this old filament cutter out. You can flip it up, be careful not to cut yourself, and it should just pop right out like that. So once you got it out, you have your old filament cutter right here. So we're going to take a new one and we're just going to push it up and it clips in and holds itself here. Now you got a new filament cutter there. Now flip this up and the filament cutter should slide in a path that's right in here. So you flip the filament cutter up, pull your lever up, and it should go right in where it's going to go. Then what we want to do is replace that bolt we took out of the front right here, and we're done with the filament cutter. Now if you look way in here, you'll see the filament cutter is in place and it's moving inside of there, fresh and new, ready for some new cuts. Now we can push our wheel back on here, like that. And then we can pull the silicone sock off. So we just pull that off straight towards you and that should come off. Next we want to pop the clip in here to get our hot end out. So we just pop it open. It opens up like that. And your hot end pretty much just should come right out like that. Now with our hot end gone, I'm going to grab some 99% IPA here and a microfiber. Just going to give it a little bit on that microfiber. I'm going to stick my finger from behind where it is wet on the IPA and I'm just going to wipe out right in here where the hot end sits. Just kind of wipe everything out, make sure it's clean. You don't have to do this a lot, but just make sure there's no dust, debris, or anything back in there. Once that's all dry, then we're going to put our hot end back, and that is going to be the flat side backwards. We're going to open our clips, we're going to find the hole they go in and push it up in, and it should sit right flat against the back here. Then we're going to take our left side, flip it over, take that retainer clip and just lock it in. The next thing we do is we just take a brand new silicone sock that came in our kit. We put it right here, push it straight back on. It should go on nicely. Just make sure that it's sitting on there straight and level and it's not bound up on anything. And then also make sure your nozzle is sticking out the bottom right there. So that looks really good, just like that. So once this part is done, we got everything in there and cleaned up and blown out. We got a new cutter on. Now we can take and put our front cover back on because the hot end part is done with the maintenance. Next, we're gonna work on our X-axis linear rail here. Their instructions say to push all the way to the left with your print head. Then we're gonna grab a lint-free cloth, like a microfiber or whatever you have that's lint-free. And we're just gonna wipe it down. Make sure there's no debris, make sure there's no chunky grease or anything that was left over. I'm gonna move this and then wipe down this left side too. Just like that. Now what they tell us to do is take our lubricating oil, and that's gonna come in this tube right here. We want to take that, we want to take a snips or a knife or whatever you got and just cut the top off. So I'm gonna take one drop there, and one drop here. Just move your print head back and forth through this just a little bit like this. Make sure it's rolling through it, like that. You don't need a lot, less is kind of more here. And if you see a whole bunch like it's oozing or dripping off, you want to wipe that off. You just need enough to lube your bearings and your rail. After that, you're done. The X rail is good to go. We're gonna move on to the next step. I need to jump in right away and let you know that this video is sponsored by PCBWay. Of course they do custom PCBs, but did you know that they do CNCing and 3D printing as well? You might have remembered that recently I had them create a full custom SLS printed nylon 12 death racer. Not only was it dimensionally accurate, the parts fit super strong and tight together, but I actually won the main event because it was so strong. So if you're looking for a part or even a whole project to be created, check out my link in the description below for PCBWay. Thank you so much PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Next we're gonna work on the Y-axis underneath. So we're gonna push our heat bed all the way forward. And then there's a cover right here that you just need to pull off, just like that. Now the first thing we're gonna do is take our lint-free cloth and just make sure it's dust free, make sure there's no debris in here, wipe it all out. There will be some grease on these rails, so if you wipe that with your lint-free cloth, you might get that on there, but just wipe it all out and make sure that it's nice and clean. This next part is where it gets a little bit tricky because their instructions are to take your oil and oil along this part of the rail right here. So basically we're gonna take the same oil we used, we're gonna put a decent amount, just kind of like that. Whoop, that was too much. You see how it's dripping? Too much. But then what they want us to do is take the bottom of the tube and spread it around and get it down along this path right here. Now I put a little bit too much in that far corner there, but the idea is to spread it around with the bottom of the tube and I'm gonna have to go underneath the machine and wipe that oil up because it made a mess underneath. So, but what you should end up with is a nice evenly spread oil streak right along this side. Then you want to jump on and do the other side as well, and we'll be right back. Now, once you have both sides done, pretty much as far as you can reach in here, just go ahead and start moving your axis back and forth a little bit here, just to grease that up. And this is what it tells us to do in the instructions. Just be careful. You don't want to push it real fast or anything like that. Just go at a normal pace and spread that around nicely in there. From there, we can put our cover back on, which is as easy as just sliding it back in and clipping it down like that. And we're done. Our Y-axis is now greased. Next, we're gonna work on our Z-axis lead screws. I moved the gantry all the way to the top, and it'll expose this side and this side. Now, you just wanna take your lint-free cloth and wipe out anything you see, any big debris or anything like that. This is kind of a tricky thing to get all the way around the screw because there's covers on it, that's why. But in the instructions, it says just to wipe out any big debris, anything you see from both sides. Then we're gonna grab our grease, and I just tore the top of it off up here. So what it says is to use about a 1/2 inch of this grease on each lead screw. So just go in here about, I don't know, this high, put in about a 1/2 inch as you see there. If you get any on the plastic, just wipe it off with your finger. Do that on the other side as well. And then when we turn the machine on, we're gonna let the gantry go up and down. I'm not gonna push the gantry up and down to do that. This will spread out when we turn the machine on and it homes for the first time. So just throw about a 1/2 inch on each side, and then we're done with the lead screws. Next, we wanna grease the idler pulley that's back here. So we need to take out the purge wiper here. To do that, there's a screw underneath. We just simply remove that screw. When that screw is out, we slide the purge wiper out of our way. Then we go out to this front cover screw here and remove that as well. It's a short screw, doesn't take long to get that one out, just don't let it disappear. Then we want to remove this cover. We should be able to do it. There we go. So we just pull that off like that, and that'll expose our idler pulley, which I'm gonna get you a better shot of. This is our idler pulley right here. What we wanna do is grab the oil we used earlier, not the grease, but the oil, and we're gonna take a little bit of oil and just drop it in right there. And then we're gonna move our Z-axis around a little bit to kind of spread that in. There's some really good pictures on the website on where to drop this in, but you'll see it, it's right in there, and it just kind of lubes that up. Now, if you wanna slide your belt back, you can move it back like this, and drop just a little bit. It doesn't take much, like the tiniest bit. You don't want to over lube this idler pulley here, but just a little bit. From there, we want to slide our cover back on, and that goes with this part facing the front of the machine. Now just replace the front bolt here, and then we're gonna grab our new purge wiper and install that. Now grab the purge wiper, that's gonna be our next replacement, and we're gonna slide that bad boy in like this. So it slides in right into the channel like that. Now it does come with a new bolt, and it does have some blue Loctite on there. So if you want to use the new bolt with the Loctite, go for it. It just screws right in, and we're going to make sure that it's in there and tight. So we don't want this to come out. Now what we need to do is make sure the nozzle does not hit the new purge wiper when the purge wiper opens here. So we're going to slide our nozzle across, and we're just gonna watch it, and it is not hitting in there. I can tell it's not hitting. I don't feel it hitting, but there should be about 3 millimeters of space in there, and that's what the manual says. So just a heads up, I will link the wiki that Bambu Lab has in the description if you want to follow any of these steps with pictures or Bambu Lab's videos too. They're in there, but this is just 3 millimeters away. It's good, it's not hitting, and we're good to go there. Now, in my case, I'm actually gonna keep the purge wiper around the old one, just in case we have a catastrophe, this breaks or something like that, and I need a quick one before a new one would get here, you know, if I ordered it. Once that's done, we are good with the purge wiper, we're good with the idler pulley, and we can move on. We are almost done. I know it's a longer video, but if you're finding this video helpful, please smash that like button. And if you want to see more content based on 3D printing, lasers, and CNC, please consider hitting that subscribe button too. Now back to it. Now we're going to move on and make new PTFE tubes. To do that, we need to remove the rest of the tubes from this side, from the AMS side, and all you have to do is push the Bowden coupler down on this side and pull it out. Now, if you have filament, you're gonna have to unload it, like I just made that mistake here. So unload your filament first, then pull the tubes out, and then we'll cut new ones. At this point, I got my filament removed and I got the Bowden tubes off of the AMS light. And I wanna get this little silicone guy here free as well. So this is a silicone piece that kind of keeps them separated towards the end over here. So I'm gonna just kind of pull them through that and get them out of that. And I'll be right back. All right, I got it. That's what this little guy is here. And you can see that all 4 of my Bowden tubes or PTFE tubes are loose. We open the bag up and this is one giant 4-meter roll. So what we're gonna do is just start with one here like this, and we are going to match up. Let's see, we're just gonna take an end, do end to end here like that, and then just go through and match up to the other end. Then we need to make sure this end is very, very cleanly cut, has to be straight. So to do that, you can either lay it on the table and use a straight razor and just cut it straight down, or if you have one of these filament cutters, that's exactly what these are for. So you measure your piece out, and I'm gonna do that here. I'm just gonna measure it out and make sure we got the same amount. Go back and check, make sure everything's straight, and I'll give you the actual dimensions in a second. Then make a mark or notice where you're at here. Take your filament cutter and it sits on the table. You put your new PTFE tube in, and how it is it sits perfectly straight and there's a blade in here. So once you're ready, you just clip it off perfectly straight every single time. You can get these filament cutters kind of everywhere. I use the TH3D ones. I think this might be even a cap tubes one. I have several of these, but these are the best ways. Otherwise, just take a straight razor, hold it down and go straight through and make that straight cut with your straight razor. We're gonna do that for the other 3 and make sure they're all the same. So when we get this done, we'll notice that there are 2 short ones and 2 long ones. Just so we know, the long ones should be 700 millimeters. The short ones should be 580 millimeters. So if you wanna measure them that way, you can do that too. I like to put them next to each other, just cut my new ones and go from there. That's accurate enough. A couple millimeters isn't gonna be a huge deal, but if you want to be accurate, 700 millimeters and then 580 for the shorter ones. So I have everything cut, and these are the 2 short ones. I'm showing you those first because we have that silicone piece to put back if you want to. Now you don't have to put this back on if you don't want. So I'm going to insert the 2 shorter tubes on one side of that and just kind of push them up a little bit. Make sure they're in there. And this is really just to hold them better. So I'm going to put them maybe like that far in. Maybe like this far in here. So I'm gonna push the top ones in so they're about the same distance. We're gonna get all 4 in, and then we're gonna be able to put these back on the printer. And that's our next step. All you have to do is push the Bowden tube into the coupler like that, and you're good to go. So just push each one in, shorter on this side, longer on this side, and then go ahead and put them into your hot end up here as well. Something to point out on the hot end side here is that I like to put my shorter tubes into the side they fit, but the closer side to the AMS light. And they just pop in the top, super simple like that. And like that. And then grab the other 2. They should get right over the top of those, and they should clip in right in the back. If you only have the single spool one, you don't have to do all this. You could skip all of these steps with the AMS light, obviously, because you're not going to be doing that. But make sure they're all in, make sure they're pressed in good, like that. Then we want to grab our clip here. Then we want to grab our clip. And there are 5 here, or was 1, 2, 3, 4 big holes and a small hole. And it's super hard to see that. but 1, 2, 3, 4, and a small hole. So the small hole is actually for your power cable here. And I made the mistake of putting the power cable on the wrong side. So your power cable should go behind your Bowden tubes. I'm gonna have to fix that, and I'll be right back. Now that I fixed that, we can put our power cable into the smaller of the little clips, like that. It just clips right in. And then all 4 of your Bowden tubes will just clip in. And this will just help them keep them organized and separated right before the hot end. And you can move this around if you want to move it up or down. That is up to you. But I like mine about right there, and it keeps my cables up off the hot end like that. Everything is nice and organized. And this part is now complete. Last but not least is this scraper here. We're gonna replace the blade. I use this on all my printers all of the time. It's such a good scraper. It gets in there nice and flat to get all those purge lines off and everything else. The cool thing about these scrapers is that these blades come with the kit, and in this kit you get 3 extra ones. So you can actually print a couple more if you want. But they're super simple. If you don't have one and you've never seen this before, there'll be a video somewhere up in here explaining everything if you want to go watch that. All you need to do is take these 2 screws out. We're going to be replacing this blade, putting a new blade back on, and then putting the screws back in. So it's super simple, and we're going to do that now. So this is what a new one looks like here. This is what the old one looks like right here, and it's all kind of old and ready to go. Remember to treat this as a very sharp tool. It is very sharp. It will cut you, so be careful. Next, pop it back in to the same spot it was in. The little holes should match up right there, like that. It pops on. Pretty dang simple. The bottom goes on. The bottom goes on like that. And then we just screw it back in. So I'm gonna do that now, and I'll be right back. And just like that, we're done with replacing the blade. It's good to go. Get your thumb in there, get your stuff off the build plate if you need to, but this is a fresh new blade ready to be put in use. One last note on the blade, please be careful when you're getting rid of these. They are sharp. I always put mine back in the paper, and then I actually tape them up and bring them to a sharps container at the hospital I work at. I would follow whatever your city or state or country does, and just be responsible. These things are sharp and they can hurt somebody, so be careful. That was the complete guide for the maintenance on the Bambu Lab A1 using the Bambu Lab A1 maintenance kit. I think it wasn't too bad, and once you do this a couple times, it probably will only take you about 20 minutes, we'll call it. There is 2 different kits. In that kit, the only difference is the purge wiper. One kit comes with it and one kit doesn't. So if you're looking for one, I think it's about $5 more. Otherwise, if you're not looking for a new purge wiper, then you don't need to buy that and save yourself like $5. One of the great things about this is keeping your machine clean. When you get it maintained and keeping it healthy and all the nice parts on here, is gonna have your machine running for a long time to come. So it's very good to always do this maintenance. And there is links in the description below to show you what we just did straight from Bambu. Also, in those, it'll tell you the time frames that you should be doing these. Everybody kind of has their own theories, but I mean, it's Bambu's printer, so I would kind of follow what they say. Again, links are in the description below for that, as well as the maintenance kit link that'll be in the description. I tried to put these together in the most logical way that made sense to me, kind of rolling when I had the hot end apart, kind of doing everything in there and that kind of thing. If you find a better way to do it, let me know in the comments. Is there a better way that this could have been done, better sequence of events or something like that? I'm always curious to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, if you have not seen the X1 carbon maintenance video that pretty much stands for the X1 carbon and the P series, check this video out right here.